Ambassador Crumpton, Chairman and CEO, Crumpton Group, also former Ambassador at Large for Counterterrorism at the State Department. Nice to see you at the Global Conference in LA.
Thank you, it's good to be here.
You're talking about a very important issue here, and that is hybrid and next generation warfare. And you cannot help but to be scared when you read headlines about what's happening globally with terrorism. How do we fight something that is really evolving almost minute to minute?
A great question, and I think it puts the burden on us to learn, and that means exploring, working with friends, both state allies and non-state allies, in some hard parts of the world. Moreover, it's complicated by the development, the growth, the rampant growth in technology that's really changing the nature of warfare in many respects. Whether you're talking about robotics or cybercrime or genetically altered pathogens, and the only way we can keep up with the enemy and with their tactics and their weapons is for us to learn and explore and to engage and to work with others.
Of those items that you mentioned, is any one a bigger threat than the other?
Well, I think the most immediate concern right now is in the area of robotics. The U.S. has had the lead in drone warfare, but other countries, more than 20, have got their own development programs and have deployed drones, and some of them are armed. And I think when you look at how do we defend against drone warfare, particularly smaller drones that are behaving in swarms, that's not science fiction, that's here today.
When you say we should work with our non-allies, it's interesting to hear you say that, because I think that makes some people nervous.
Well, non-state allies, both states, like the Emirates and Saudi Arabia and Israel, if we're talking about the Middle East, but increasingly we need to think about non-state allies also. That can be tribal groups, that can be clergy, it can be private sector, NGOs, universities, because increasingly they are part of the battlefield. If you look at some of our non-state enemies, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram in Nigeria, increasingly they're attacking soft targets. They're attacking these non-state actors, and whether they want to be or not, they are part of the fight, and we have to understand that, we have to work with them, we have to protect them, and we have to learn from them.
Do you worry about terror attacks in the U.S.?
Oh, sure. Right now, the FBI, they have active investigations of ISIS in all 50 states, and that's just what we know about.
Do we know if the military currently has all the right technology it needs? Should technology companies be partnering more with the military, or is that already going on at the level it should be?
I think our military is doing a good job. You look at DARPA, you look at the other investments, also the intelligence community through InQtel, their venture capital arm. They're doing some innovative things and they're working with the private sector. But we need to do more. The Secretary of Defense has come out and made a very public plea to work more closely with the private sector in Silicon Valley. He was recently, I think, in Austin, Texas, looking to private sector to help, because now the private sector is in the lead. When I was in the government many years ago, the government had the lead, but that's long ago changed.
Can we ever fully prevent terrorist attacks or have efforts to head them off well before they become headlines?
I think we've done a decent job in preventing many attacks, but you're not going to see perfection. You will see the enemy getting through, you will see more attacks. I believe we have to think in the longer term and in a more strategic way. We have to nullify enemy leadership. In other words, you have to kill them, you have to capture them, or undermine their legitimacy. You have to deny them safe haven, and right now you have larger swaths of enemy safe haven in more parts of the world than in modern history. And the third, and the really tough one, is you have to address the conditions, the local economic, political, social conditions that the enemy exploits. And that's often different from place to place. And we do a pretty lousy job of that. In other words, we can win the war, we can capture a village or a valley, but we're not winning the peace. And just look at Libya, Iraq, Afghanistan, many examples of our failures there.
Ambassador Crumpton, it's been a fascinating conversation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.